So here we have a quick tutorial on solving multiple step equations. And just by definition, multiple step equations are just going to be any equation where we have more than two steps. So we typically call a one-step equation, let's see here, one step, we just call simple, right? And two-step equations is just a two-step equation. And then anything over that is going to be considered a multiple step equation. And so right now, the two equations that we give you are going to be definitely multiple steps. You're going to see, four or five different steps that we're going to have to go through. So let's start with the one on the left. And by rule, when we follow our steps in school, what we want to do is we want to first build a wall. So we're going to divide our problem in half. We call it building the wall. So you can't pass through the wall because you can't just go straight across. You either have to go over it or under it. And the way you do that is with an opposite operation. Now from here, let's go ahead and let's begin to solve. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that we combine the like terms on each side of our wall. So on the left side, I have a 3y and a 10.5. So 3y is a constant, a variable term, and 10.5 is a constant term. On the right side, we have 6.5 and 2.5y. So these will not combine together. But the next step is to combine our variables. And you'll notice that on the left side, we have a 3y. And on the right side, we have a positive 2.5y. And so we want to get our variables onto the same side. And I like to do this so my variables are positive. So I move the one that has the lesser value. So 3 and 2.5. 2.5 is obviously less than 3. So we're going to undo. We're going to subtract 2.5y. And subtract 2.5y. So when we do this, these are going to add, right? 2.5y plus negative or minus 2.5y cancels out to 0. And we're left with just 6.5 on the right side of our equation. On the left-hand side, 3y minus 2.5y is 0.5y. And the positive 10.5 cannot combine with anything. So our next step is, once our variables are together, let's get our constants onto the same side. So we want to start to eliminate everything around our variable. We can use this using SADMEG. SADMEG is kind of an acronym. SADMEG, or some people say SADMEP. This G will be a P. And it's the opposite of PEMDAS. So it's basically the opposite of the order of operations. So the first thing we're looking for is there anything being subtracted or added to my variable term? And in this case, our variable term is 0.5y, and we have a 10.5 being added to that. So we want to get this to equal 0, so we subtract 10.5. And what we do to one side, we must do to the other. It's our fundamental law of algebra, right? And so 6.5 minus 10.5 yields a result of negative 4. So negative 4 is going to be on the right-hand side. These values are going to cancel to 0, so we're left with 0.5y on the left side. Now, there's nothing else being subtracted or added, so we move on to the division and multiplication. And y is being multiplied by 0.5. So to remove this, let's divide by 0.5. And this equals 1. 0.5 divided by 0.5 is 1. 1 times y is y. And negative 4 divided by 0.5 is negative 8. And so we have solved this solution, and we have found the value of y to be negative 8. Notice we had several steps. So I subtracted my negative 2.5y. Then we combined our constants. Then we solved. So there were 3 steps here, which created a multiple step equation. Now our second equation is a little bit more difficult. So first step is to build our wall. We want to separate this left and right side. And from there, we want to begin to solve. So our process here is, again, we want to combine like terms on the same side. And our caveat to that is we want to use the distributive property if necessary. So in this problem, we have 4 being multiplied by 2a plus 3. So let's multiply the 4 times the 2a, and that's going to be 8a. And let's distribute the 4 to the 3, and that's 4 times positive 3 is positive 12. And that's going to be equal to, we're going to combine terms on the right side. So we have a negative now. So we have a negative 3 times a, which is negative 3a. And here we have to be very careful because we have a negative 3 being multiplied by a, we combine these together. This is a negative 1. Negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 3. And then this 31 is going to come down with it. So on the left-hand side, I have 8a plus 12. Those are combined. All my like terms are combined. But on the right-hand side, I still have 2 constants that need to be combined. So I'm going to write another layer because I like to go one step at a time. And we have negative 3a, but this positive 3 and this positive 31 are going to combine to be a positive 34. So you'll notice now that I'm in a similar spot to where I was when I began the problem on the left-hand side. I have variables on both sides. I have constants on both sides. So the first step for me is let's get our variables together. So I have an 8a and a negative 3a. I'm going to move the negative 3, so we're going to add 3a, noticing that negative 3a plus 3a cancel out to 0. And I'm going to add 3a on the left side. And I get 11a plus 12 is equal to 34. So now that I have my variables combined, let's combine our constants. So I need to move, right? We want to move this 12, so we're going to subtract 12. So this 12 and that 12 cancel. We're left with 11a. And that's going to equal 34 minus 12, which is 22. My only thing left to do is to eliminate this 11. So 11 is being multiplied by a, so let's divide by 11. And what I do to one side, I must do to the other. So a is going to equal 22 divided by 11 is 2. So again, just a real quick tutorial on how to solve multiple step equations in a very simple format.